For this sugar-free mug cake recipe, you need 3 tablespoons of almond flour, 1 tablespoon of milk, I use dairy, 1 tablespoon of sweetener, and the monk fruit sweetener I use is in the affiliate link in the description below, which means I can get a small commission if you purchase through it. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, I used one from Trader Joe's, half a tablespoon of unsalted butter, and I use my favorite brand, which is Kerrygold, and there will be an affiliate link for that in the description below. And to measure it, I am actually going to chop it up, but that's a little later. You'll also need 1 egg. It could be organic or inorganic, I really don't care. It just needs to be an egg. And finally, a pinch of salt, and I used Himalayan salt, which is my favorite. And finally, the last thing you need is, of course, a mug, because it's a mug cake. Now, as I said before, I did cut the butter and I put the slice into a shot glass with measurements on it, and there will be an affiliate link for this in the description below because these are really useful. And I set the butter into the microwave for 30 seconds. And since I had a little bit too much, more than half a tablespoon, I just scooped some out. And then I began to pour the dry ingredients into the mug. So that means the almond flour, the monk fruit sweetener, the 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and of course the pinch of salt. Then stir everything up in the mug and add the wet ingredients, which includes the egg, the butter, the milk, and last but not least, the vanilla extract. Now stir all of that up until everything is homogenized, and make sure that all the chunks are broken up so that it is smooth a mixture as possible. Now in the end, my mixture looked like this. It was still pretty wet, and so I was concerned that it wasn't going to turn into cake, but it's not like I could back out now anyways. So I set it in the microwave, and for your mixture also test it at 1 minute. For mine, after a minute, it was still, I don't know, pudding-like. So I set it again for another 30 seconds and checked that. And that's when the magic happened, I suppose. It didn't look good, but when I turned it over, that's when I saw it was pretty fluffy. Well, it was looking fluffy. So I knew I was on the right track. It was still pretty moist. So I returned it to the microwave for another minute, for a total of 2 minutes, 30 seconds, at least for my microwave and my mug cake. And after that, it looked much, much better. It was drier and spongy. Hopefully you could see it on the video. So that means it was firm enough. The texture, however, wasn't exactly like a typical cake, and that's because I used almond flour. And almond flour generally produces denser results. So this was a dense cake. However, because there was egg in it, it did fluff a little bit. And hopefully it could be seen in the video. I tried my best to show just how fluffy it was. It really did look like cake. Not necessarily full of air pockets, but it was, I guess, like pancake, somewhat fluffy like a pancake, but it was heavier. So taste-wise, it wasn't bad. It tasted like vanilla and probably a little more eggy than I expected, but I think it's because I couldn't mix the egg as homogeneously as I had hoped in the cup, because all I did was use a fork. So maybe next time I would use a more proper mixer to blend everything together. But overall, I think it was a pretty successful experiment. There was no sugar in it, but it was sweet and it tasted like vanilla cake. And even though the texture was a little dense, it was still like a cake. So hope you enjoyed, and we'll try this yourself.